Anna. Welcome back to the Unfiltered Truth Financial Report. Today we're not just talking about the market, we're diving into a financial mystery, a case study if you will, that could unlock significant value for your portfolio. Forget the speculative noise, the fleeting trends, and the sensational headlines. We're here to uncover what truly matters for long-term wealth creation. Many of you ask, Anna, where should I put my money right now to see real growth in a few years, not just a quick flip? It's a valid question, one that demands a methodical, almost forensic approach. We're not chasing fads, we're identifying foundational shifts. This isn't about predicting the next meme stock. It's about understanding the underlying economic currents that propel certain industries and companies forward. We're going to peel back the layers of market sentiment and media hype to reveal what financial professionals, the true architects of long-term portfolios, are quietly accumulating for 2026. This isn't just a list, it's an investigation into the future of capital allocation. If you're serious about building durable wealth, not just making a quick buck, then hit that subscribe button and join our community of informed investors. Let's embark on this journey together. Anna, our investigation begins with a fundamental question. What economic forces are shaping the next 3 to 5 years? We're not looking at tomorrow's headlines, we're looking at the tectonic plates shifting beneath the global economy. Think of it like a detective examining a crime scene. You don't just look at the immediate evidence, you consider the broader context, the motive, the method, and the long-term implications. The global economy is a complex organism, constantly evolving. For 2026, several key themes emerge as undeniable drivers of growth. These aren't speculative theories, they are verifiable trends supported by demographic shifts, technological advancements, and policy incentives. The first major theme, our initial piece of evidence, is the accelerated digital transformation across all sectors. We've heard this before, right? But the nuance here is critical. It's no longer just about companies moving to the cloud or adopting e-commerce. It's about the pervasive integration of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and advanced data analytics into every facet of business operations, from supply chain optimization to personalized customer experiences. This isn't a future concept. It's happening now, and the companies at the forefront of enabling this transformation are poised for substantial returns. Consider, for a moment, the shift from traditional manufacturing to advanced robotica e automação. It's not just about replacing human labor, it's about increasing precision, efficiency, and scalability. This is a profound structural change, akin to the Industrial Revolution, but moving at an exponentially faster pace. The companies providing the foundational infrastructure, the picks and shovels of this new digital gold rush, are where our focus must be. We're talking about the semicondutores, the provedores de serviços em nuvem, and the empresas de cibersegurança that are safeguarding this increasingly interconnected digital world. Our second piece of evidence points to a global push towards sustentabilidade e energia renovável. This isn't just an environmental movement, it's an economic imperative driven by energy security concerns, evolving consumer preferences, and significant government subsidies and regulations worldwide. The transition away from fossil fuels is a multi-decade megatrend. But the next few years represent a critical acceleration phase. Think of it as a massive infrastructure project unfolding on a global scale. The demand for renewable energy sources, energia solar, energia eólica, energia geotérmica, and the technologies that support them, such as armazenamento de baterias and redes inteligentes, smart grids, is immense and growing. This isn't a niche market anymore. It's becoming a central pillar of global energy policy and investment. The companies innovating in these areas, from utility-scale solar developers to electric vehicle battery manufacturers, are on our radar. The third area of investigation leads us to a população global envelhecida and the resulting boom in inovação em saúde. As demographics shift, with a larger proportion of the population entering their senior years, the demand for advanced medical treatments, preventative care, and age-related technologies is skyrocketing. This isn't just about pharmaceuticals, it's about medicina personalizada, telesaúde, dispositivos médicos, and avanços biotecnológicos that extend quality of life. Unlike many sectors, healthcare demand is relatively inelastic. People will always prioritize their health. Companies developing truly disruptive solutions in areas like terapia gênica, diagnósticos alimentados por IA, and gerenciamento de doenças crônicas are presenting compelling long-term investment opportunities. This isn't a speculative play on a new drug. It's an investment in a fundamental human need that is experiencing unprecedented technological advancement. Now let's synthesize these macro trends and begin to identify specific companies that stand to benefit significantly. We're looking for companies with strong competitive advantages, robust balance sheets, proven management teams, and clear growth runways aligned with these overarching themes. This isn't about chasing momentum. It's about identifying quality businesses that are riding powerful long-term waves. Our first stock under the banner of Transformação Digital Acelerada is NVIDIA, NVDA. Many of you know NVIDIA for its graphics processing units, or GPUs, which have long been essential for gaming. But to view NVIDIA solely through that lens is to miss the forest for the trees. NVIDIA is no longer just a chip company. It is an AI infrastructure company. Their GPUs are the foundational computing power behind virtually every major advancement in intelligence artificial, from large language models to autonomous driving. Think of them as providing the critical brainpower for the digital revolution. The demand for their chips is insatiable, driven by cloud providers, data centers, and companies across every industry scrambling to integrate AI into their operations. Their CUDA software platform creates a powerful ecosystem, a sticky network effect that makes it incredibly difficult for competitors to dislodge them. For 2026, as AI continues its exponential growth trajectory, NVIDIA's position as the indispensable enabler of this technology makes it a prime candidate for significant appreciation. Their valuation might seem high to some, but it reflects their unique market position and the unprecedented demand for their technology. This isn't about hype, it's about fundamental technological leadership. Moving to our second pick, aligning with the digital transformation, and particularly the cloud computing infrastructure, we have Microsoft, MSFT. While a behemoth, Microsoft has undergone a remarkable transformation under Satya Nadella, pivoting aggressively and successfully into cloud services with Azure. Azure is not just a competitor to Amazon Web Services, AWS. It's a rapidly expanding ecosystem that caters to enterprises of all sizes. What makes Microsoft particularly compelling for 2026 is its strategic integration of AI across its entire product suite, from Office 365 to Dynamics 365, and its substantial investment in OpenAI. This isn't just adding a feature, it's fundamentally enhancing productivity and functionality for millions of businesses and individuals globally. Microsoft's sticky enterprise software, combined with its dominant cloud presence and aggressive AI integration, creates a powerful moat. Their recurring revenue streams are incredibly strong, and their ability to continuously innovate and integrate new technologies across their vast user base positions them for sustained growth. They are not chasing trends, they are setting them. Our third selection brings us into the realm of sustainability and renewable energy, specifically focusing on the critical infrastructure required for the energy transition, Next Era Energy, NEE. Next Era is not just a utility company, it is the largest producer of wind and solar energy in the world. Their regulated utility business provides stable, predictable cash flows, while their energy resources division, which develops and operates large-scale renewable projects, offers significant growth potential. The global push for decarbonization means massive capital expenditures in renewable energy infrastructure. NextEra is at the forefront of this build-out, with a massive pipeline of projects and a proven track record of execution. Investing in NextEra is investing in the backbone of the future energy grid. Their diversified approach, combining stable utility operations with high-growth renewable energy development, provides a compelling risk-reward profile for long-term investors looking to capitalize on the energy transition. This isn't a speculative bet on a single technology. It's an investment in the systemic shift of global energy production. For our fourth pick, still within the sustainability theme, but with a focus on electric vehicles and battery technology, we turn to Tesla, TSLA. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Tesla is already huge, and its valuation is often debated. And you're right, it is a polarizing stock. However, our focus for 2026 isn't just on their current vehicle sales, but on their unparalleled lead in battery technology, their supercharger network, and their advancements in autonomous driving. Tesla isn't just an automotive company. It's a technology company that happens to make cars. Their gigafactories are not just assembly plants, they are massive battery production facilities, a critical component for the entire EV ecosystem. As the world accelerates its adoption of electric vehicles, the demand for efficient, cost-effective batteries will explode. Tesla's vertical integration and continuous innovation in this space give them a significant competitive edge. Furthermore, their potential in energy storage solutions beyond just vehicles is massive. While volatile, Tesla's long-term strategic positioning in an undeniable growth sector makes it a compelling, albeit higher risk, consideration for 2026. This isn't about Elon Musk's tweets, it's about the company's foundational role in the electrified future. Our fifth stock takes us into the burgeoning world of healthcare innovation and the aging population trend, Eli Lilly and Company, LLY. Eli Lilly, a pharmaceutical giant, has recently seen significant growth due to its groundbreaking drugs for diabetes and weight loss, specifically Mounjaro and Zepbound. These are not just incremental improvements, they are transformative therapies addressing massive global health challenges. The market for these types of drugs is enormous and growing, driven by lifestyle factors and an aging population. Beyond these current blockbusters, Eli Lilly has a robust pipeline of innovative treatments across various therapeutic areas, including Alzheimer's disease, which represents another colossal unmet medical need. Their commitment to R&D and their ability to bring novel, high-impact drugs to market position them strongly for sustained growth. Investing in Eli Lilly is investing in human health advancements that are profoundly impacting quality of life and generating substantial economic value. This is about scientific innovation meeting massive market demand. For our sixth pick, continuing in healthcare, but with a focus on medical technology and devices, we look at Intuitive Surgical, ISRG. Intuitive Surgical is the pioneer and undisputed leader in robotic-assisted surgery with its Da Vinci system. As healthcare systems globally face increasing pressure to improve patient outcomes, reduce recovery times, and enhance surgical precision, robotic assistance is becoming indispensable. The Da Vinci system is not just a piece of equipment, it's a platform that integrates advanced imaging, instrumentation, and control, allowing surgeons to perform complex procedures with greater accuracy and less invasiveness. Intuitive Surgical benefits from a classic razor and blade business model, where the Da Vinci systems are the razors and the recurring sales of instruments and accessories are the blades. As more systems are installed and utilized, the recurring revenue stream grows exponentially. The barriers to entry in this specialized field are incredibly high, given the regulatory hurdles, the significant R&D investment, and the extensive training required for surgeons. For 2026, as surgical volumes continue to rebound and healthcare systems prioritize efficiency and advanced technology, Intuitive Surgical is exceptionally well positioned. This is about precision technology enhancing a fundamental human service. Finally, for our seventh and final stock, we return to the theme of pervasive digital transformation, but with a focus on the critical infrastructure of data and connectivity. Marvell Technology, MRVL. Marvell is a semiconductor company that specializes in infrastructure solutions for data centers, enterprise networking, and automotive Ethernet. While perhaps not as widely known as NVIDIA, Marvell plays an equally crucial, albeit less visible role in enabling the digital economy. Their chips são essenciais para mover, processar e armazenar as vastas quantidades de dados geradas por IA, computação em nuvem e a internet das coisas. As data traffic explodes and demand for faster, more efficient connectivity grows, Marvel's highly specialized and high-performance solutions become increasingly vital. Their focus on custom ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits for data center and 5G infrastructure, gives them a unique competitive advantage. For 2026, as the digital backbone of the global economy continues to expand and demand for bandwidth and processing power intensifies, Marvel Technology stands to benefit significantly from this foundational growth. They are the quiet enablers of our increasingly connected world, providing crucial components that make everything else work. This is an investment in the invisible yet indispensable gears of the digital age. Now let's take a step back and consider the inherent risks. No investment is without risk, and even the most promising companies can face headwinds. Geopolitical instability, regulatory changes, unexpected technological disruptions, and macroeconomic downturns are all factors that can impact stock performance. This is why diversification is crucial. These 7 stocks represent high-growth opportunities, but they should be part of a well-balanced portfolio, not your entire portfolio. Remember, our goal is long-term wealth creation, which means understanding and mitigating risk, not avoiding it entirely. The process of identifying these companies isn't about guessing, it's about rigorous analysis, much like a detective meticulously piecing together clues. We started with broad economic trends, the changing landscape of global demand and technological capability. We then narrowed our focus to sectors that are directly benefiting from these trends. Finally, we identified specific companies within those sectors that demonstrate strong competitive advantages, solid financial health, and clear pathways to capitalize on these long-term shifts. This methodical approach helps us filter out the noise and focus on quality. Let's quickly recap our 7 high-growth stocks for 2026. The company's financial professionals are positioning themselves in right now. 1. NVIDIA, NVDA, the indispensable AI infrastructure provider. 2. Microsoft, MSFT, the cloud and enterprise software giant integrating AI across its ecosystem. 3. NextEra Energy, NEE, the global leader in renewable energy generation and infrastructure. 4. Tesla, TSLA, the EV and battery technology innovator driving the future of transportation and energy storage. 5. Eli Lilly, LLY, the pharmaceutical powerhouse with groundbreaking therapies addressing massive health needs. 6. Intuitive Surgical, ISRG, the pioneer and leader in robotic-assisted surgery, enhancing medical precision. 7. Marvel Technology, MRVL, the critical infrastructure provider for data centers and high-speed connectivity. Each of these companies, while operating in different sectors, shares a common thread. They are at the forefront of fundamental, long-term economic and technological shifts. They are not chasing fleeting trends. They are driving the future. Their products and services are becoming increasingly essential, creating strong demand and pricing power. This isn't a speculative gamble, it's a strategic allocation of capital towards the forces shaping the next decade. Anna, as we conclude our investigation, remember the core principles of long-term investing. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. It's about understanding the underlying narratives, the verifiable facts, and the strategic positioning of companies within those narratives. The mystery of where to invest for significant returns in 2026 isn't solved by a crystal ball. It's solved by diligent research and a clear understanding of the macroscopic forces at play. These 7 companies represent robust opportunities, carefully selected based on their alignment with undeniable mega trends. They are the businesses that financial professionals, those who truly understand market dynamics beyond the daily fluctuations, are accumulating for durable, substantial growth. Protecting your capital and growing your wealth requires a disciplined approach, one that looks beyond immediate gratification and focuses on long-term value creation. The market will always have its ups and downs, its moments of irrational exuberance and unwarranted pessimism. But over the long haul, quality businesses that are addressing fundamental needs and riding powerful economic tides tend to prevail. Your financial future isn't a game of chance, it's a strategic endeavor. We've laid out a compelling case, supported by evidence and aligned with the profound shifts occurring in our global economy. Now the decision is yours to integrate this knowledge into your own investment strategy. Anna, if this deep dive into strategic long-term investing resonated with you, if you found value in this methodical, evidence-based approach, then I urge you to take the next step. Don't just watch, engage. Subscribe to the Unfiltered Truth Financial Report. Join our community of informed investors who are committed to understanding the market, making smart decisions, and building lasting wealth. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our in-depth analyses. Share this video with anyone who needs a clear, no-nonsense perspective on where the market is truly headed. And most importantly, leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on these companies? What other long-term trends are you seeing? Your insights are invaluable to our community. Together, we can navigate the complexities of the financial world and build a more secure future. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next report. INT, Unfiltered Truth Financial Report Studio. Night. The camera lingers on Anna for a moment, a subtle smile playing on her lips, before fading to black. A beat of silence. Text on screen, Unfiltered Truth Financial Report, Special Edition in T, Anna's home office. Day sunlight streams into a tastefully decorated home office. Anna, dressed more casually but still professional, sits at a large wooden desk, a laptop open in front of her. A whiteboard behind her has various market charts and data points scribbled on it. She sips from a mug, then looks directly into the camera, which is positioned as if she's on a video call. Anna, welcome back, and thank you for joining me for this special follow-up. The response to our last report was phenomenal, and it's clear that many of you are hungry for a deeper dive into these strategic long-term plays. Your comments and questions have been incredibly insightful, and I want to address some of the recurring themes we saw. One question that came up repeatedly was, how do we truly differentiate between a fleeting trend and a genuine megatrend? It's a crucial distinction, and it speaks to the core of what we do here at Unfiltered Truth Financial Report. A fleeting trend is often characterized by hype, speculative buying, and a lack of fundamental shifts in consumer behavior or technological paradigms. Think of the dot-com bubble in the late 90s, where many companies with little more than a website and a catchy name saw astronomical valuations. Many of those companies, lacking sustainable business models, evaporated when the hype cycle inevitably ended. A megatrend, on the other hand, is a powerful transformative force that reshapes industries, economies, and even societies over decades. These are not fads. They are structural changes driven by demographic shifts, technological breakthroughs, resource scarcity, or evolving societal values. Consider the população global envelhecida, the relentless march of transformação digital acelerada, or the imperative for sustentabilidade e energia renovável. These aren't going away next quarter, or even next year. They are multi-decade narratives that create enormous tailwinds for businesses positioned to capitalize on them. Let's take the example of artificial intelligence. Many investors are understandably cautious given the recent surge in AI stocks. Is it a bubble or a genuine megatrend? To answer that, we need to look beyond the immediate headlines and consider the fundamental impact AI is having. AI isn't just about ChatGPT. It's about optimizing supply chains, accelerating drug discovery, personalizing education, enhancing cybersecurity, and automating countless tasks across every sector imaginable. It's a foundational technology, much like electricity or the internet, that will permeate every facet of our lives. The companies we've identified in this space aren't just selling a shiny new product. They're building the infrastructure, developing the core algorithms, or applying AI in ways that fundamentally transform existing industries. They are the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush, but also the prospectors who are actually finding the gold. Another common question revolved around diversification within these mega trends. While we've highlighted 7 specific companies, it's important to remember that these are representative examples. Within each mega trend, there will be multiple players, some established giants, others nimble innovators. A truly robust long-term strategy often involves a diversified basket of companies within a given megatrend, mitigating the risk associated with any single company's execution. For instance, in the sustainable energy transition, you might invest in a company manufacturing Energia solar panels, another developing advanced almacenamiento de baterias, and yet another providing redes inteligentes, smart grids, infrastructure solutions. This multi-pronged approach allows you to capture the broader growth of the trend while spreading your risk. Let's delve deeper into one of the mega trends we touched upon, the future of inovação em saúde. This isn't just about treating illness, it's about extending human longevity, enhancing quality of life, and personalizing medical interventions. The aging global population is a demographic certainty, and with it comes an increased demand for advanced medical care. But beyond that, we're seeing revolutionary breakthroughs in areas like genomics, medicina personalizada, and telesaúde. Imagine a future, not so distant, where your genetic code is routinely analyzed to predict disease susceptibility and tailor preventative treatments, where drug development is accelerated by AI, leading to more effective and targeted therapies, where remote monitoring and virtual consultations become the norm, making healthcare more accessible and efficient. The companies positioned to thrive in this environment are not just traditional pharmaceutical giants, though some are certainly adapting. They are also biotech innovators, dispositivos médicos manufacturers leveraging AI and robotica, and digital health platforms that are fundamentally reshaping how healthcare is delivered and consumed. These are companies investing heavily in R&D, building intellectual property moats, and addressing genuinely unmet medical needs. Their growth isn't speculative, it's driven by fundamental human desires for health, longevity, and well-being. Consider the ongoing revolution in material science. This might not be as flashy as AI or biotech, but it's equally foundational. As we demand more from our products, lighter, stronger, more sustainable, more conductive, the innovation in materials becomes paramount. Think about electric vehicles. Their performance, range, and cost are heavily dependent on advancements in battery chemistry and lightweight composites. Or think about sustainable construction. New materials that are more energy efficient, durable, and environmentally friendly are crucial for reducing our carbon footprint. Companies that are at the forefront of developing these next-generation materials, whether it's advanced ceramics, novel polymers, or smart textiles, are tapping into a mega trend driven by resource efficiency, performance demands, and the global push towards sustainabilidade. These are often B2B companies, less visible to the average consumer, but absolutely critical to the functioning and evolution of countless industries. Their growth is often tied to the success of other mega trends, creating a powerful compounding effect. Another fascinating area, often overlooked, is the future of work and education. The pandemic accelerated trends that were already in motion: remote work, hybrid models, and the need for continuous skill development. This isn't just about video conferencing software. It's about the entire ecosystem, supporting a more flexible, distributed, and lifelong learning workforce. Companies providing cloud-based collaboration tools, cybersecurity solutions for distributed teams, platforms for online learning and upskilling, and even robotica e automação for tasks that can no longer be performed by humans, are all riding this wave. The nature of work is changing profoundly, driven by technological advancement and evolving societal expectations. The businesses that empower individuals and organizations to adapt to this new paradigm are poised for sustained growth. Education, too, is undergoing a transformation, moving beyond traditional brick-and-mortar institutions to embrace personalized, on-demand learning that caters to a global, diverse audience. This megatrend is about human capital development, a fundamental engine of economic progress. When evaluating companies within these megatrends, it's essential to look for several key characteristics. First, a strong competitive advantage, often derived from intellectual property, network effects, or significant economies of scale. Second, a clear and scalable business model that can capture a significant portion of the value created by the megatrend. Third, strong leadership with a proven track record of innovation and execution. And fourth, a robust balance sheet that allows for continued investment in R&D and strategic expansion, even during economic downturns. These are the hallmarks of companies that can not only survive, but thrive over the long haul. It's also important to acknowledge that investing in megatrends requires patience. These are not get-rich-quick schemes. There will be volatility, market corrections, and periods where your chosen investments may underperform. But by focusing on the underlying fundamental shifts and the quality of the businesses you're investing in, you can weather these storms. The power of compounding over decades, applied to high-quality assets riding powerful tailwinds, is truly remarkable. Think about the long-term investors who recognize the internet's potential early on, or the transformative power of mobile technology. They didn't just buy the first company they saw. They understood the broader shift and invested in the foundational players and innovative disruptors. That's the mindset we're trying to cultivate here at Unfiltered Truth Financial Report. Our goal is not to predict the exact stock price movements of next week, but to identify the companies that are building the future, piece by piece. These are the businesses that are solving real-world problems, addressing fundamental human needs, and operating within unstoppable macroeconomic and technological currents. The 7 companies we highlighted in our previous report are just a starting point. They are exemplars of the types of businesses that embody these characteristics and are positioned for durable, substantial growth driven by these powerful megatrends. They are not merely responding to market whims, they are shaping the future. As we move forward, remember that your investment journey is a continuous process of learning, adapting, and refining your strategy. The world is dynamic, and while megatrends are long-lasting, the specific companies that best capitalize on them can evolve. Staying informed, critically analyzing new information, and maintaining a disciplined long-term perspective are your strongest allies. This isn't about chasing the next hot stock. It's about strategically positioning your wealth in the path of progress. It's about understanding that the biggest gains are often found not in the fleeting headlines, but in the profound underlying shifts that reshape our world. Thank you again for your engagement and thoughtful questions. Your commitment to informed investing is what makes this community so valuable. Anna, Conti D. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Unfiltered Truth Financial Report. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on our ongoing analyses of these critical market forces. Share this video with anyone who seeks clarity amidst the market noise. And as always, your comments are crucial. What other megatrends do you believe are shaping our future? What companies are you researching that align with these powerful forces? Let's continue this vital conversation. Together, we can unlock the potential for truly lasting wealth. I look forward to seeing you in our next deep dive. Anna smiles warmly, then gestures to the screen. Fade to black.